Hey guys, Pieguyrulz here, and welcome to my very first video on the SpongeBob SquarePants movie 2, Sponge Out of Water. I'm going to be covering this film a lot, leading up to its release. As we get more and more news, I'm going to make a few videos about this, because I think it's a really interesting topic. I mean, this is a movie that could end up being great for the show, or could end up being just the worst thing ever. And I think it's really interesting to study it, and I'm a student of film. I go to film school, so I kind of know a little bit about how you release trailers and teasers for this sort of thing, and what they decide to tell us does in fact matter a lot. Special thanks to Roberto Severino for alerting me to this USA Today article that I will be referencing here as my source, and it is actually in a link in the description if you want to go check it out for yourself. So the big thing about this article is that it has a picture. And this video comes out around the time of Comic-Con. As of right now, no official trailer has come out. Once one does, I will probably be making another one of these videos, because that's a topic in and of itself. But this article here does tell us a few things. The biggest thing would be this picture. And it's quite an interesting image. So far, all we've really seen, officially anyway, is the poster. And the poster could mean anything. You know, you see the poster, and a lot of people were debating on whether they like the art style or not, but it's just a poster. A poster can be done in any art style it wants. You know, there could be posters for live-action movies that are drawn, you know, hand-drawn. There can be posters for animated movies that aren't, you know, like that. It really doesn't mean much. The poster itself, and I guess I'll talk about that for a second before I go on to this article, the poster itself is perfectly fine. It actually catches the eye really well. What does it say about the movie? Not entirely much. This promotional picture in USA Today does say a lot of really interesting things. So, first of all, the art style is... It looks like a bunch of people dressed up in foam rubber outfits. It's very hard to talk about this stuff because it needs to be animated, it needs to be in motion to really fully grasp what it is. A screenshot doesn't always tell you how something is going to look in motion, in animation. But judging just from the still alone, I would say it looks more like they'd be statues that I'd find at a theme park than actual moving CGI creatures. But hey, I don't think... I mean, they look better than they do in the video games, I guess I could say that. And it is very, very interesting. I'll talk about the actual content of the picture, but just the art style, I don't know. My initial reaction is I'm not entirely happy about this. I kind of wish they would have gone for something a little bit more, I don't know, natural looking, but I guess a lot of it is the fact that, well, the nature of the picture, and I guess we'll talk about the contents now, how they're all superheroes. How SpongeBob is muscular, Patrick's muscular, Squidward only has 2 legs and is also kind of built, and Mr. Krabs is really shiny, so there's that. Yeah, it's weird that they're superheroes like this, because this is something we've seen a number of times on the show. I mean, Merman Prodigal Boy 5 had them becoming heroes. 2 episodes in the 5th season has SpongeBob assuming a superhero name when he has to assist Merman Man. Apparently there's an episode where Patrick becomes a superhero. I mean, this is stuff we've seen before, though not in these forms, which I guess is interesting. It's such a perplexing picture when you look at it, because it's just like... It tells you so much and yet so little. So how do I feel about the art style? I'm lukewarm. I'm about a 5 out of 10 on this, because it doesn't look right, but it's not terrible. It's interestingly stylized, and it is something that has the potential to be decent. Anything I speak about here, of course, is all speculation, and I'm only judging what information we know. This doesn't have really an impact on the film. I can't say if the film is a good film or a bad film until I've seen the film, obviously. But just judging by what we have here, I'm not particularly happy. And the biggest thing I'm not particularly happy about is the simple fact that they chose to show this. this is their CGI. And they've previously stated that the film is mostly 2D with some CG stuff above the water. And while I believe that I'm sure a lot of it will be 2D, exactly how much is 2D and exactly how much is 3D is iffy. And the fact that this is what they're showing off, we haven't seen a single frame of the 2D version of the SpongeBob movie, but we've seen this, and the poster was kind of in a 3D style, although a little bit different from this, is not, it's not a good sign, because it means that this is what they want to show off above anything else, above the plot, above how the 2D animation looks, above anything else. They're really proud of this 3D, which, I mean, it's not anything crazy impressive. I mean, this is alright looking CG stuff. This is decent, but it's nothing to brag about, really. So getting into the article here, there's an interview with Tom Kenny, and what Tom Kenny says is, it's not like SpongeBob has gone through any personality rewiring, there's no reboot, Daniel Craig will not be voicing him, it's just a very different likeness. Let's see, what else? So he talks about Patrick turns into Mr. Super Awesomeness, SpongeBob becomes the Invincible, Squidward is Sour Note, and Mr. Krabs is Sir Pinch-A-Lot. According to the director, Paul Tibbitt, it's the big climax of the movie. They all come to shore in our world. They transform themselves into an Avengers-type team to do battle. Their world is in jeopardy. Now, what worries me about the fact that, like, his exact words being that they are an Avengers-type team, and later on he goes to talk about he's not sure if they can take on the Hulk. I don't like that he's comparing this movie to the Avengers, because that's, I mean, what that kind of feels like to me is that they're big fans of superhero movies and the Avengers and all sorts of stuff like that, and they want to emulate something. And in the first news of this new release, the fact that they're saying they kind of want to emulate something is not a very strong message. Now, of course, I'm sure they don't think they can actually compete with the Avengers. I'm sure they don't actually consider this a superhero movie. At least I hope not, because in a SpongeBob movie, yes, it'd be cool to have some superhero-y bits, because there's been a precedent for it before. There's a whole series of episodes with Merman and Barnacle Boy based on this. But it would be really weird if that was the entire focus of the movie. And maybe it's not. Maybe this is just climax stuff. But it is strange that that's what Tibbitt is talking about, and that's what he decided to focus on in this little interview thing. So what else is said by Tom Kenny is that the group needs to deal with the threat of Antonio Banderas, who plays a villainous pirate in the movie. He's got a comedy touch, and as we've seen him in Zorro, he knows how to swashbuckle. Alright, that's fair news. I mean, having a pirate be a villain, that's actually pretty cool. That's something that there is precedent for in the series. That's something that makes sense as a villain for SpongeBob. And I guess this would be a live-action Antonio Banderas, which, again, there's been precedent for. You know, we saw Hasselhoff in the first movie. I'm not complaining about anything like that. So that sounds like good news. That sounds like interesting news, cool news. I'm sure Banderas can pull it off, like Tom Kenny said. And Kenny says he believes the fans will be excited, and he's ready for some shocked reactions too. There's a thin line between a riot and a paroxysm of joy. Either way, it's Comic-Con, it's always good to have your escape route planned. That doesn't sound very good either. Just the way he's anticipating people are going to be shocked and possibly not thrilled, that's not good. Now, of course, it is natural to feel with such a big announcement that fans will not be happy with this, but the article's very short, the interviews are very short, the quotes, they're not even really interviews, they're just kind of quotes. The fact that that's kind of what was said worries me a little bit, and that might be Tom Kenny's kind of passive-aggressive way of saying, I'm not sure how this is going to turn out, and I don't really have much control over it, I just voice the character. So that worries me. It also worries me that Sandy, or I don't know, yeah, I guess mostly just Sandy, isn't in that picture with the rest of them. Of all the people that would be good at fighting crime, it would be Sandy. And also Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy. which is kind of an interesting subject as of Ernest Borgnine's passing, unfortunately. Now, I've kind of been an advocate of letting the character retire with the passing of, Ernest Borgnine. Don't say he died or anything, just quietly stop making Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy episodes. But at the same time, I think if this is the direction the movie is going, it really needs to have Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy, at least in some sort of role. But yes, I think I've talked about this and analyzed this enough. We should be getting a trailer shortly, which will reveal a lot more. A lot of this is just complete speculation based upon the words, and what's really important to remember is that although these are like out of context things, although these are small parts of the larger movie and could mean nothing. That picture could be from a 10-second scene for all we know. It could be like one of those, close-ups. There could be a completely different animation style, and then they do a close-up of them in this style, and then they go back to the regular style. That's the way SpongeBob rolls. But the fact of the matter is, this is what they're choosing to show us, this is what they're choosing to tell us, and that's relevant for something. If this is what they are proud of, if this is... What I find weird is that usually with this sort of thing, they would post a little something of the classical animation, of the stuff we know, the stuff they know that people like, first, and then bring out the shocker of, okay, they're also going to look like this. The fact that we haven't seen really anything of the 2D animation is a little bit worrisome, and also the fact that we have a comparison. In the SpongeBob movie, we see 2D SpongeBob on land, and I don't think it looks particularly bad. I think it looks pretty nicely integrated, pretty nicely put into the environment. But hey, if they're going to do extended sequences above water, I guess this was the smart way to go about it. So that's about it. Let me know if there's any more news. Hit me up on Twitter. Let me know. I want to keep following this, and I want to keep giving my impressions as this goes along. Pieguyrulz, out.